Oh, that's right.
It's still red.
So there's
I think it's just, I was
that.
gonna always yell at me for not including, what's the name of that word? There's like a.
Semicolon?
No, there's a word for, when you're making a list.
Yeah.
And between the
Annual
last two
visits.
items in your list, you can either put a comma or before
Semicolon.
and, or not.
Right.
And if you put a comma, there's a word that it's
Michael.
a name for that
The
comma.
Oxford.
That's it. Yeah.
You were just the person I wanted to see.
And I never use it.
I mentioned to her about 20 minutes ago.
We're gonna go ahead and get started at 6:30. Our audience at home is waiting for us promptly on the internet.
Do you know me?
Right. Wilde Village Board has opened our meeting this evening. It is 6:30. We are streaming live to a home audience, so we want to make sure we're on time. The first thing we want to do, so smile, smile and talk loudly. First thing on the order of the agenda is to approve the agenda. I would like to have everyone take a look and let me know. I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda as is.
I have, on the agenda, there's 10 minutes for me and I really need only a minute, so do we need to change that? Or when we get to it, we just let it be?
Let's go ahead and let it be, but now that you mention it, I would like to make a couple of changes because you're going to move so quickly. And Bess, I understand, has to leave very, very promptly at the end of the meeting. We might be moving a little quicker than usual. Also, my understanding is that Nancy, she would like to move up to the beginning as early into the agenda as possible. Just looking at the order of business, would anyone have any concerns with Nancy and the Columbia Council Representative report moving before Wilde cares? Or
No,
would it be all right?
sure.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion
So
to
make a
approve the agenda as amended.
As amended. So the amendment again.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Move Nancy up. Thank you. All right. Approval of the minutes. Oh. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any questions? All right. Now, approval of the minutes.
Well, considering that the minutes did not have the item on the agenda, which I'm taking from 10 minutes to 1. I was uncertain whether or not it needs to be added to the minutes or whether we just let the minutes rest and then we add it the next time.
So it wasn't in there.
About the
Colors.
colors to
Signage.
colors.
Open for brief discussion. Do we need to put it into the minutes? I say yes.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor of adding to last month's meeting minutes that Rhoda is going to be speaking this week regarding the signage for what?
For change of color venues for the village entrances. Neighborhoods.
Everybody. All right. All those in favor of changing the agenda for that, or the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Or,
Wait.
I need a motion. I need a motion.
I
thought you
second.
made it and
Yeah, I second.
You seconded. I
You
made
made
it.
the motion, okay.
And I
You
second.
seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No discussion? It's been moved. Okay. I'll make a note here also.
Kristen, is that a copy of the agenda?
All right. Without further ado, in the audience, we have none other than our guest speaker this evening, Mr. Andrew Stack. He's the Columbia Association Board of Directors, and he's bringing to us an annual report.
Yes,
So this is my third opportunity to come out to the villages. I always consider the villages to be our partners with the Homeowners Association, probably our primary partners. And so I always thought that it would be good to come out and have a chance to talk one-on-one with one of our good partners. So as I usually do, I do have some handouts. There's three of them. The first one will talk a little about some of the highlights from last year. The second one's a little bit in finance. And the third one is very specific to Wilde. So it was a busy year last year for Home Association, the board of directors. I kind of highlighted some of the big projects that actually got completed last year and were open. The dog park was opened, and it's been open about a year and a couple months now. Seems to be very successful. People seem to like it. We're working with the county to try to get a dog park in Blandare, or at county expense, of course. So, yeah, that would give us basically a dog park in West Columbia and a dog park in East Columbia.
Awesome.
The new Owen Brown Tennis Clubhouse opened. If you haven't seen it, you really need to it's very, very beautiful. The old one was so bad, we tore it down and built a brand new clubhouse. The Lake Kinnickinnic Pathway Loop was completed and dedicated, and I hope you've had a chance to go out and actually walk all the way around Lake Kinnickinnic. It is very, very nice. And I expect that as time goes along, we'll be adding plantings and they're probably expanding Kennedy Gardens and things like that. But it's great to finally have the loop around Kinnickinnic done. Haven on the Lake opened. Great location looking over the lake. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to kind of at least go in and look at the facility. Very nice. And then, of course, the big one was the Hobbs Glen Golf Course Clubhouse. That was a $6 million plus project. We tore down the old one, built a new one. We built it 2 stories, put all the storage for the carts and everything underneath, so that freed up the upper space. It's actually, footprint-wise, it's actually smaller than the original clubhouse, but that's because we were able to put all the storage and everything downstairs. And so the upstairs, if you've had a chance to go, you'll notice an expanded Coho Grill restaurant area. I mean, everything's being expanded, locker rooms for the golf community. And there's also a turn house. Seems to be well received. And I've heard good things about the food from Coho Grill. So, now once again, if you haven't seen it, get a chance to go over. See, that's a new headquarters. Don't know if you had a chance to be over yet. There is going to be a grand opening celebration probably a little later. We're still getting furniture and all those little odds and ends. But it's a 10-year-old building, 2-story, been rehabbed just for us. Now we are sharing it with 2 other smaller businesses who are now shocked that they now have cars in their parking lot and lots of people coming in now. They were really quiet, a nice quiet location for about 9 months. But it's very different. It's light, it's airy. It certainly is a much improved work environment for the people. If you ever get a tour of the offices and that, what they did is put most of the offices on the inner corridor with glass, and then that allowed the workstations for the workers to be kind of near the windows. So kind of everybody gets light in that, and it's just a lot more room. It's a lot nicer. The archives is now located there. They actually have their own separate entrance, so they can run activities, on their own. And all the IT department, as well as everybody else from the old headquarters building is there. So we vacated 3 buildings in downtown Columbia, parts of 3 buildings in downtown.
And aquatics. And aquatics.
Aquatics, yeah.
Oh, aquatics.
No, part of aquatics, but part of aquatics is still in the old,
Yeah,
some of it,
the admin people.
Yeah, admin people. A lot of the sports and fitness management now is all together. By the way, we kind of color coordinated the sections. So green is like HR and finance. Red is IT, blue I don't remember the whole color scheme, but it's kind of color scheme, so if you kind of see the color in the area. There's a lot of thought that went into it, but it does look much, much nicer, and I think it's a much nicer environment. And I should tell you, we now have reasonable restrooms. If you've been, I mean, the old headquarters buildings, I mean, those restrooms were tucked away behind the elevator, and now these are at least they meet all the requirements, so they're much nicer.
How about the public meeting room space for your board meetings?
So it's right there at the front near the membership center. It can be expanded. Unfortunately, the boardroom is not done yet. That's some of the furniture that hasn't come. What we had decided was we wanted microphones. People were having lots of problems hearing us in our old facility, old boardroom. And so one of the ways we thought we could kind of improve the acoustics as well as the whole IT environment was to have microphones at individual locations. They're embedded in the furniture. That furniture hasn't come yet, and some of the IT hasn't come yet. We will be able to live stream our meetings along with some other improvements if the board chooses. The board hasn't voted yet, but all the IT equipment will be in, and I think all the new furniture by the 30th of September. So right now we're dealing with the old board furniture and not everything is there, so it's a little.
Andy, I understand that the small conference room, the meeting rooms are on the second floor, and there's some sort of difficulty in trying to access the second floor?
Well, yeah, there is, the boardroom can be divided into two separate conference rooms.
Okay.
There actually are a divider that's actually in the wall. So it's not like the old one where it kind of stood out and blocked people's view. So you can actually get two conference rooms out of that. And then there is a third conference room up, but that was more for CA.
Oh, okay, not for meeting.
It's overflow if we have to, but that was more for internal. It's kind of like, remember we used to have the small conference room off to the side. It was in the office area, but you had to go through the office
To
area.
get there.
Right, so this one now is on the second floor, same type, but it's a little nicer, and it is closer to the elevator, so if it needs to be used, it is accessible.
Okay, thank you.
There's a couple.
And there are, and then there's small little ones too. There's also a training room. CA received Energy Star Award. We've been doing very well. We've had a huge focus on solar energy. And also on a lot of retrofits to our buildings, lighting, heating, things like that to try to reduce energy use. And we actually won the Energy Star Award from EPA. And Jeremy, our energy manager, and Milton McDown actually accepted it. It's a very nice award. Community communications, new covenant policy on abandoned houses. It's unfortunate we have to do this, but with the foreclosure problems that we've had in the last couple of years, there are a number of properties that have been abandoned. So we now have a way the CA can go in and kind of make minor outside repairs, trim the grass, the shrubs, things like that, to try to keep it looking a little bit reasonable. And then of course we put a lien against the property. We had a policy that allowed us to cut the grass. And so this is kind of like next step up if there's an abandoned house. And your covenant advisor knows how to go about doing this. It's, same type of rules. But that's now there and in place. And, there unfortunately are a couple of houses that are moving through that process. New online membership purchase capability. So you can actually buy your CA memberships now online. Took a while to finally get this, but it's there. There is a mobile app coming out. It got a little delayed because we had to take the IT people to do the new building. so the mobile app kind of got delayed a little bit, but it is coming. And then, so speaking of memberships, Nancy will probably tell you more about this, but this Thursday we are getting a briefing on a totally new membership plan For CA, it gets rid of package plan and package plan plus and goes to and what our consultant is proposing is a different set of packages. So I would, all this stuff is out on the web, in our meeting, and I would really encourage you to all look at it, because we want feedback. I mean, it's an interesting proposal. We haven't bought into it yet. We get the briefing Thursday, but it is really different. The Village Center market study was completed. And then we have a new sister city, in case you don't know, Timagana. And they're actually in the process of trying to arrange for a visit probably next year, early 2016. Kind of, how we go to Associate Pontoise and Tres Cantos once a year. So they're trying to get that same type of arrangement with Tema.
Tema.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. And then in November, we're having our Tema 2 event here,
That's
like
right.
we had Tema 1 here. And we're working on that, and it's almost completed. It's going to be similar, but a little more, a little different in the entertainment aspect of it, which the drumming and so forth would be really awesome, and the food. Really cool.
In fact, if you were here Thursday, by the way, thank you very much for letting us use this like now for our budget hearing. It's a very nice place to run the budget hearing. But Milton got presented with a
Authentic scarf.
authentic
Yeah.
scarf from the mayor of. So that was really nice.
Plus, he made their
Calendar.
Calendar,
Yeah, city calendar, so
That's
he's
great.
right there.
That was so cool.
Picture. Oh, yes,
That's great.
He was very happy.
I think Milton was embarrassed.
The world renowned.
But he wore the scarf, so that's, yeah.
So CA did reorganize into what I think is a probably more logical structure. If you've been around, it kind of back to here's sports and fitness, here's community services. So Milton did that, early in January, so that was good. We were going to talk about the boardroom. We're always kind of hoping we'd be ready by now, but that's the way it goes. So I really want to give you a little heads up on the 17-18 budget. Because the big focus this year is on repair, replace, and maintain existing facilities. And one of the big differences, and this is for Milton, is he's making this more of a systematic process. So we have what is called facility assessments that will be done on all of the major buildings. We hire an outside contractor, they come in, they look at the heating, the cooling, the plumbing, the electrical, the structural. It's a full-blown look at the actual building. Tell us what needs to be repaired. Tell us if it is reasonable to repair, because we may have some buildings that are not, worth repairing, in that case, we'll look at replacing. So the very first facilities assessment was done on the swim center, and as a result of that, the board is in the process of approving probably about $5.5 million worth of renovations to keep the swim center viable for about 15, 20 years. And in addition, we're also going to replace splashdown. Splashdown replacement is going to cost us about $2 million. None of this is cheap anymore. I mean,
What happened to the $30,000 you're throwing at it every year, right?
consultant came back and said,
Stop.
not repairable
Not
anymore.
safe.
And even with stairs, both the tubes and the stairs were rusting. So they said, look, either tear it down, and replace it, or just get rid of it. And the board took a vote to replace it and to go ahead with the new splashdown. We actually reprogrammed money to allow the repairs to the swim center and splashdown to start. Now, officially, the board still has to vote on the money in for 2017, but we've already kind of told staff to put it in the budget, so unless some really crazy thing happens. But I'm sure that Wilde Lake will be there to make sure that that crazy thing does not happen. So as I said, the swim center is first. All the big facilities are coming. Nancy can give you, the rundown and everything, but Slayton House is due for fiscal year 17. Yeah, so Nancy's got a copy of the schedule. Pretty much, we're kind of going in roughly age order. The swim center, Hobbs Glen was our oldest. And then the swim center and kind of that. So there's, the way this works is there's a set of buildings in 16, a set of buildings in 17, a set of buildings in 18, and then a few left in 19. And then the smaller buildings and the pools will actually be done by staff. We don't really have to hire a consultant to really look at the pool too much.
Will some of these run concurrently, or is everything strategically?
Well, good question, because that really depends on the council, on the board. What the facilities assessment is going to do is tell us the repairs that are needed.
It's critical.
And then staff and the board have to plan all this out for the next 5 years. So we figure this is going to be at least a 5 to 7 year program. We can't afford it all. It's just no way we're going to do it in 1 year. And besides, you can only do so much construction. I mean, the CA only has so much capability, so you want to do it right, and so you want to make sure we don't over exceed. So it will be programmed as these facilities assessments roll out, then you're going to start seeing. And that's one of the things Milton has promised us. He's going to do a rolling 5-year capital budget, capital plan. He's going probably will be ready for the April, May of next year, because we're waiting for a few more facility assessments to come in so we can actually start putting this together.
Andy, I don't have that schedule.
You don't?
No.
Okay. I know it's sent out. Okay. Ask Janet to send you.
I will.
So we'll talk a little change from highlights to finance. And so I'll give you a really kind of brief summary here. So the first part, the upper part, is my kind of cash summary of how CA did in fiscal year 2015. How did we actually use the cash? It's meant to be very short. So the annual charge was 34.9 million. And then we paid about 1.1 million in interest and debt. And then if you look at all the operating things the CA does, and you net it out, it cost us about $17.7 million. Which wasn't bad, but then we came up with capital projects. And we spent 17.3 million on capital projects. So if you think about it, in there would have been paying for Haven on the Lake, parts of Haven on the Lake, parts of the golf building. I mean, that's roughly 11 million, plus all the other types of capital projects. But we spent 17 million actually on capital projects last year. So that left us with a cash shortfall of 1.265 million. And as we usually do, we borrow money. So we did borrow money. And then I go down and I talk a little bit about the debt and how the debt is today compared to last year. And if you notice, it went up. Okay, our debt now is 30 million, and we had it before 29.7 million. So the news here is our debt is going to increase because there's no way that we are going to do all of the capital projects needed to repair and replace facilities without incurring some additional borrowing. But our financial people have programmed all that in. So although the debt will go up, it will still be manageable. It will not go up anywhere near the 80 million it used to be. We're probably figuring we're gonna top out of the debt somewhere around 40 million. Depending on how the board decides. But given our interest rates, and our income, we believe we can manage that very well. And then, if I had been asked this question at one of the other villages, and so I actually gave you a little table that shows the annual charge amount which is billed in July by village. So if anybody asks you, that's kind of how it is. Now you have to understand that a village isn't just residents. I mean, it's we kind of draw a bigger circle. It's anything that falls within what we consider a village, and that would include commercial and industrial properties. And then the couple of industrial parks that really do sit outside a village, those are mostly on the east side, Sealing and Guilford and things like that. You can see that they're listed. So commercial industrial, we're thinking about, we build them for 5.6 million. There's a little bit of unassigned property that you can't really fit in anywhere. It doesn't fit into nice neighborhood. And then, but the villages, obviously came up with 29 million. As you would expect, Long Reach was the highest. They are the largest village, the largest in size as well as units. So it's just for your information, if you have any questions.
Andy, just can you back up the bank loan, which is amazing at 3.63?
Yes.
Is that for the combination short-term and long-term debt? Or is that just?
That's actually long-term debt.
The long-term, but the 2,700,000.
The
2,700,000.
Yeah, okay, so the 2,700,000 in fiscal year 14 was the last of the senior secured bonds.
Okay.
And then in 2015, if you look, the long-term debt is now 28 million, that's the bank loan. So 28,
Down below,
in
okay.
15, the 28 is the bank loan.
Okay.
In 14, the long-term debt was the last of the senior secured bonds.
Okay, thank you.
So we still have our short-term borrowing, which is kind of like our credit card. We pay it back within a year.
It's pretty amazing.
We have taken advantage of the drop in interest rates. And it has been actually very, very good for Columbia and for CA. I mean, if you think about it, we retired $30 million worth of bonds. And we still kept building, and we still kept operating, and we didn't have to raise the assessment. And almost all of that came because of the drop in interest rates. So we could borrow short term. And we're borrowing sometimes less than 1% the short term. And we're paying off the 8%, the 18%, the 15%. So, we just ended up saving a ton of money that way, and we were able to finance it all. We got lucky. I mean, we did.
Yeah, so at any point, does the community know what the cost is for financing all that?
My report, I send my report out. I publish it in my village newsletter every year.
Okay.
People like, this is why it's kind of a really short summary. It's something that I can kind of stick in an article that people can understand. If you read CA's financial reports, we use accrual accounting, GAAP. GAAP is a great thing to use, it's the right thing to use, but people are not familiar with accrual and GAAP accounting. It's not the way you normally keep your checkbook. So I always do a little conversion to cash because people seem to understand cash a little better than accrual.
Sure.
Can I just say one thing? I'm really sorry you came tonight, because people are going to expect me to, I don't know this stuff. And I don't.
No, I will tell you, I put this together. Okay, I put the highlights together and I put this together. I've done it for a couple of years, so I kind of know how to do it. I always wait for our auditor's report. We're always audited. We just completed the audit. We had a great audit. They didn't find any problems. And I always wait for the auditor, and then I use the auditor's figures to kind of do the final little cash. I can.
You could do it for me.
Um,
We all have our strengths.
No, this is a great cheat sheet, thank you.
Yeah, it's not easy, and yeah, it took me a long time to even begin to understand our accounting and CA with this, accrual. I mean, I have a good understanding of it now. And that allows me to kind of look at it from a cash basis. But otherwise, I pity the poor person who has to try to take our books and figure it out.
I'm just looking, yeah.
Okay, and this is kind of a very quick little look at Wilde Lake. So this is prepared by CA staff for me. And so if you have any questions, you ask Nancy.
And you leave way ahead of her tonight.
But roughly, we spent around 630,000 in capital projects. And those are things like work on Slate House, Brian Woods Neighborhood Center, the Wilde Lake Village Center, sidewalks and curbs, tennis improvements. I assume that's the tennis club. And swim center improvements. And then there's always, every village, we're always doing path, lights, just the standard stuff.
Yeah, Wild Lake Path was just done.
Yeah, the lake.
Yeah.
And overall, your assessment share was $338,145, which I'm sure agrees with Kirsten's books. Overall, it was 2.97. And so that's it. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. If you have any comments, and if not, think of any later.
I'll
Nancy
write
will be
down your
happy.
questions and I'll send them to Andy.
I just have one sort of semantic question. Is there ever a time when operating all the facilities, like the sort of remote tennis clubs, not, the village tennis clubs, and all the things that we have, all the elements that we have that go into making CA's operational budget, is there ever a time when you've ever deduced that any of this was not worth running? Aside from Splash Pad, because that's been given so much attention.
So the last one I remember is the horse center. So what we decided with the horse center was we still own it. We still own the horse center. We rent it out. So there's a private operator who runs the horse center. So we've looked at pools, but every time we touch pools, we get our hands slapped. So pools, tennis is very profitable. I can tell you, tennis is very profitable. The only thing that's more profitable is after-school care. Oh my goodness, after-school care is extremely profitable. Tennis is very profitable.
Interesting.
So we have things like the ice rink. So you've got the big gyms, and the big gyms are probably located nicely. You got Supreme Sports Club kind of in the east, very large, with lots of capabilities. You got the athletic club, which is kind of, I'll say, more central, and then you got Columbia Gym. So you've got 3 gyms that are fairly well used, and they seem to be centered in nice areas so that everybody has access who wants it. So we probably aren't going to do much with those. The swim, swim, we just have a huge aquatics presence, and as I said, we learn not to bother with. Tennis is very popular. Probably the big project we're going to do next year is a replacement of a bubble, on ground, and it's probably going to be a brand new indoor tennis. We're going to get out of the bubbles. So that's probably going to be the big project for fiscal year 17. So then you look at things like the ice rink. It's a unique facility. That's a unique facility in all of Howard County. It gets used. Probably are, and then you get the golf courses.
Right.
Have Fairway Hills, which is more of what I'll say kind of a municipal type course. And then you have Hobbits, which is more of the
Resident.
member
Number.
members. Yeah. those all seem to be popular. Every once in a while, there's always a question, well, should we sell them all? But golf has been part of Columbia since Jim Rouse founded it. Hobbs Glen was the first thing he opened.
Yeah.
And then you get the skate park. Okay, it doesn't get a lot of use, but it serves a youthful contingent. And it's never gonna make money. I mean, it's just not. But it's got this niche market that you say, if we close it, you know, what are they gonna do? They're gonna skateboard in.
Back out in the village parking lots.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes you look at the facilities, and even though they're only serving a niche part of a community, you have to say, well, is it really worth, I mean, if it serves that part of the community, and it's not, I mean, these things are not costing us
A ton.
a ton of money. Yeah, they're never gonna break even, they're gonna cost us money, but. Now, we always are constantly evaluating the programs, changing the programs. But of course, then the other thing you get is anytime you try to close something, there's always a village who will come and let us know that that's not a good idea. In fact, right now, Oakland Mills wants us to build a brand new hockey and maybe indoor track and maybe indoor swimming pool in their village.
50 meter.
Yeah, 50 meter.
Right.
You know, we'll look really, really carefully at that. I'll answer your question in a slightly different way. I don't really foresee CA building any new facilities. I think we have pretty much what we need, what the community, the support community. The one is the swimming pool. But just on my opinion, I think we'd only do that with the county. I mean, it's just too expensive. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense to build another swim center like this. It's too small. Okay, so if you're gonna build a swim center, a state-of-the-art swim center that people would expect, now you're into tens of millions of dollars. And the county's been looking at it, we've been looking at it. We have started conversations to say, hey, can we maybe join forces? I mean, we've even talked, maybe we can get the community college into it, because they need a new pool. You know, but outside of that, I don't think you're going to see anything. I'm waiting to see a replacements.
That's where we are.
Right. And brings up another interesting point. You know, I'm out here, I see your new buildings going up, I see you. So next week, the county presents its plans for Long Ridge Village Center. We've already told the county that if the developer comes to us and asks us to look at relocating either Stonehouse or the Art Center, we will certainly consider it. You know, board will hold meetings and things like that, but we're not ruling it out. So it's very possible that, you know, the next major set of changes may come in Long Reach as part of the village redevelopment. I mean, let's face it, Stonehouse and the Art Center aren't exactly in the best location in terms of visibility and their old buildings. You know, some developer comes and offers us some type of deal, I'm sure the board will carefully act. You know, we'll make the decision.
Some developer. Like that.
Well,
The county wants to get out of it.
right,
The county
county's not
doesn't want to
gonna
own
do it.
it.
The county said their plan is they're gonna come up with a plan and then they're going to market it to developers, and they're hoping that there will be someone who will be willing to buy their land and rebuild according to the plan, whatever the plan is.
That's years in the making, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. Is it Jeff Gazer who did Monterey?
Chemical.
He came and talked.
Right.
He said, you are looking at a minimum of 2 years before you even see a shovel. And that's after we have the plan. That's after we have the plan and everybody's happy. He said, it takes 2 years to produce the actual, all the diagrams, to get down to the county, get all the approvals, get all the permits, before you turn the shovel over. And he said, and that's if everything goes well.
That's true.
So, yeah, realistically, you're looking at least 2 years, 2.5 years before you see anything really, I think, major happen in the water sports center. It's just
From the
takes
time they
time.
have an interested developer.
Yes, from the time.
So who knows how long that'll take.
The county's hoping they'll have someone by the beginning of the year. Yeah, don't know.
Wow.
Any other questions?
No, it's just, I happened upon the dog park by accident the other day. And I went, oh, that's where it is. That was really amazing. And I was wondering how that supports itself.
There's a fee, a membership.
Really?
Yes, and surprisingly enough,
People pay it.
we pay, it's, don't hold me to it, but I think it's like $50 a year or something.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also,
$5
you
each
can also
visit.
pay by day, but there's like a year membership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, now, I'm not gonna say that we collect enough money to pay everything, I think we collect enough money to operate it. We do actually collect money from the dog park.
That's awesome.
And we seem to have gotten a really good response from the community, who want to pay and have a dog park. I don't know if you've seen it, there's 2 parts, there's kind of a large area for large dogs and a smaller fenced area for smaller dogs. There's watering stations. There are a few other things for dogs. Yeah, it's not, my original thought was, oh, we're just gonna put
them all in one
area.
That's
Not if you want
yeah.
them to live.
This is like a first-class looking dog park.
It is.
That was my impression when I remember back when it was first proposed. I pictured this great big area with a fence around it, just like you're talking about. And this is like state-of-the-art dog parkness. So-
It is, and you know what?
Only dogs.
Only dogs. I think that has really helped us market it.
Mhm.
I mean, people see it and then they want to join, they want to pay the fee.
I understand there's quite a community there too, the people who take their dogs frequently and meet their friends, and it's become quite a social place.
Yeah, it's another one of those, I'll call niche markets.
Right.
That there's a need there, there's a group of clients, and yeah, that's what CA was set up for. I mean, CA was set up for lots of different activities. It was never envisioned, I mean, the Rouse never envisioned, all we're gonna do is what everybody wants. You know, there are small communities, we'll do this, we'll do that. I mean, you know, his idea was to grow people, and many times you grow in smaller groups. Anything else? No, I want to thank you very much. I hope it didn't take up too much time. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity.
It's always good to have
I
you
learn
here.
from you all the time.
Do you want the extra copies back or?
No, that's okay. Yeah.
Get some.
Michael,
Yes.
He's just your-
I just wanted to make sure everyone knew, Mr. Cornell is in the audience tonight. You're not signed up for resident speak out, right? Okay, good. Mr.
I'm not here
Cornell-
to take up any of your time.
Mr. Cornell is the village board chair for River Hill. And so we welcome you. And we, from my personal perspective, I wanted to thank you for sharing information for your environmental program that you have going up there. Phenomenal program.
Yeah, we've worked, we have a good dedicated group of residents that are very active in the watershed program, and they've modeled it after CA's watershed program. There's I think 2 or 3 villages, if not more now, that have them, so, yeah.
Well, that was the Dipper Wednesday, and he designed the first, he originated the concept and he originated the plan.
Yeah.
And then he got everybody pretty ginned up about it. Did an amazing job.
I don't know that they're ginned up, but
Well, I mean,
they're
you know,
excited.
for the watershed advisory board members, when they sit there to be more than, okay, what's next?
Yeah, very active, there's a lot of youth involved. our youth or our teen advisory committee just, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but it just won a state award. And they got 16 tickets to a Ravens game.
Wow.
So they're gonna be honored at events coming up, and yeah, they've been, it's at times a very frustrating group of residents to work with, and but for the most part, it's very, the ones that are engaged, just, I mean, they've got their hearts and their souls in it. And they do a lot of really good stuff for the community.
Thank you. Glad you're here. Welcome.
Thank you for coming by.
That's after leaving Nancy and Andy on the board after 8 years.
That's right. If the other people on the board did not know, if you did not know, Michael served his terms on the CA board fairly recently. How long were you there?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You know that, I get that reaction from everybody. 8 years,
Andy, you surpassed it, right?
No.
Well, I've
Wow.
Cumulative. I've
Oh.
only been on the CA board since
CA board, we're not talking about as a village board.
Village
He's been on the skateboard twice.
35 years.
Oh, my God.
Village.
I mean, 30,
He's a glutton.
33, 34 years.
That is awesome.
I started in Oakland Mills. I had 2 years in Oakland Mills, and then moved down Brown, and been on the Brown board since.
Yeah, I only have 12 years on our village board, so.
Oh, my
Okay. So it can happen.
Well, thank you so much
Well,
for your
thank you both
service,
for coming.
your
I do
interest.
appreciate
It's
it.
awesome.
By the way, I was telling
So we'll
Call me.
Kevin,
That's good. Look forward to
it's great
seeing.
not seeing Amy.
I know,
Or-
tomorrow.
I know, I've never,
Tomorrow's the new
I know.
show.
I've never been in this
I
room
know.
without artwork.
No,
Closed in.
Between.
Don't forget September 19th is the Wilde picnic, so
Okay.
come.
And the Inner Arbor groundbreaking is this weekend.
That's right, this Saturday morning at 10 o'clock.
That should be very exciting.
I forwarded it to everyone.
That should be very exciting. Thank you both for supporting that, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, somebody said something nice about it. Thank you, take care.
Anyway, let's move on forward in our agenda. Let's see, Jeff, something that you did miss at the very beginning, we changed the agenda slightly. Nancy's going to leave early, so she's going to go next. Nancy.
We had, but first of all, I want to just say that I saw a police report, I don't know if everybody saw it, that there has been some problems around Lake Elkhorn. So just a heads up that you should be aware of perhaps the same activity might happen around Wilde Lake. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but just keep your eyes open. There were robberies of people who were walking on the path.
Also on Burning Land.
Fair daylight.
Right, yeah,
As arms.
yeah,
Arm.
yeah, so just be
No one
very
got
cautious.
hurt because they gave me everything.
Yeah, and don't be a hero, just give them what they want and live. Andy is wonderful. I don't know what any of us would do without him on the board. He knows more than all 10 members put together, or 9 members, and he's really quite good. And he will become chair November 15th, thank goodness. Well, just because he knows what he's doing, and it's really, I think, important to have somebody who knows what they're doing. And I think that's pretty clear from all this information that he gave you, that I wouldn't have had a clue how to put this financial stuff together. I would have asked Susan Krabby, and she would have done it for me. I don't know what questions you might have. There is the groundbreaking, of course, Saturday, which is big news, and it's very exciting because finally we're going to see something happen in Symphony Woods. And I do hope that as many of you as possible can be there, because I think a good our showing would be a real positive reflection of support, community support.
Are you expecting protesters?
Pardon?
Are you expecting protesters?
I
Is it
didn't until you said that, but I wouldn't be surprised. There are still people who are very dead set against this and are still working hard to, I don't know what they expect is gonna happen because it's really quite unrealistic, but they're still making efforts to kill this. I'm very excited about the swim center being the beneficiary of the very first facility makeover, because I think that's gonna be a big plus in our brand new village, and
Thanks
hopefully,
for supporting.
well, I mean, how could I not? I'm very excited about it myself. The budget process is just beginning, and Kevin was there the other night, and he did a wonderful job standing up and speaking on behalf of Wilde Lake. There were a lot of good ideas that came out of that, especially, what's his name? Oh, no, the photographer.
Michael.
Michael
Oberman.
Oberman, yes, I really liked his ideas about the signs and so on, and I will push for that because,
So you know, he did that on behalf of me, he couldn't be there.
really,
But,
I really liked it, and I meant to write to him afterwards, but instead I'm telling you, and I
Well,
will
I'll
write to you,
pass it along.
because I think what he said was great, and I will do all I can to make sure that that gets,
Well, he
Push
told
through.
these very humbling stories.
He had
and-
stories.
And so, you know, he's had these same stories, and he's been telling them for a while. And somebody just needs to pay attention to it and do something about
well, I hope to do something about it. Hopefully we'll have enough support to get that through. And what else did I want to say? I don't have the facility schedule, but I've sent Janet Longburn a message already, and I've asked her for it. Oh, and I am asking if you could to come Thursday night to the meeting and speak out in support of these programs like Bess's, Michael Oberman's, that would be helpful. Whatever support you can send, either in writing or in person, truly it makes a difference, because more ears will hear it. Only about half the board was there last Thursday night. Yeah, I think there were 6 of us there. So, yeah, and the other 4 need to hear it as well, because we need all the votes we can get. And there's nothing there that anybody could possibly disagree with, in my mind. And I think that's all I have.
Nancy, I was going to ask you something.
Sure.
And everyone can chime in. One thing that I keep seeing when I go to different board meetings and residents speak up, it's, for instance, Rhoda, you saw this on the Timmel project and on some of the cultural projects. There had to be at least 8 people that stood up and spoke about it. Yet when we got to our Wilde Lake project, there's only a couple of us that stood up and spoke. I'm truly wondering if those individuals with all the stories and get up and talk one after the other, if there's a longer memory span on the council, on the board, because so many different stories were told, whereas if we get up and we have a physical support of maybe 10 people in a row, but only 1 or 2 people stand up.
I don't think that. I think what matters is that it's something of value. I mean, that the board can understand the need and the value in it, such as the tennis is finally, and this has been going on for a couple of years at least that I'm well aware of. It's finally getting its money, and we're finally moving forward. Even though they make a lot of money, they can make even more money with a nice new facility. So the whole point is they put a lot of things, a lot of thoughts go into each ask. I don't think that the sister cities are going to be harmed, simply because this is what Columbia is all about. This is the spirit of Columbia, and I'm certain that this will be supported. I mean, I shouldn't say that, because you never know. There are some board members that you never know what they're going to do. I know, but I'm saying honestly,
Okay.
I can only speak for what I believe, that this will not change. And I can't speak for everyone. On the other hand, it does help for you to show up once, twice, or more often. If you really believe in a specific project and you really want it to happen, the more often they hear it, maybe not all in the same meeting, but at different times, they understand that there's real passion about it, and that does help.
Did Jeff Trillo come to that meeting?
Yes. Yes, and I think that's also another thing that I will certainly, I've spoken with John McCoy a number of times, and other people as well, Dennis Matty, and Columbia has a lot of water issues. It's not just behind Reedy Brook, unfortunately. It's spread all over Columbia. And the way Columbia was built out, it just feeds this. And so we need to finally deal with these issues and start resolving them. And that, I think, it might be expensive, but it's a solution.
So while Nancy has the floor, I would love to go ahead and put names and faces with the individuals that were at your meeting, since we're talking about it. So Jeff Torello, he spoke very eloquently about the Reedy Brook fire retention facility, gave great details, and everyone agreed with him that it sounded like something that was very, very necessary. One question that came up from Mr. Wu, Chow Wu, on the council, he wanted to know how much is this going to cost? And so very eloquently, Jeff, backed out of talking about it. He says, I don't know. So go ahead.
That should not be a question given to a resident.
John,
That is
question.
what the staff is there for. The staff figures these things out and then presents it in the budget. And that's when we determine can we or can't we afford it, after we see the numbers. But residents come and they say, this is what we need and this is why we need it. And the rest is up to the staff
That's what I thought.
and then the board.
I heard him ask that a couple of times, so
Yeah.
it's interesting. And then Bill and Ann Wallace,
Okay.
they did come and they spoke
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
Bryant Woods Fire Detention Facility. And they described very, very nicely how the river runs through their yard on a regular basis. And they said, we have videos that we can send to you.
The problem is it's on their property. And if it's on the private property, there's nothing that we can
Well,
do.
but the water's not coming
From the property, well, then they need to do what they need to do, but I know Dennis has already talked to them, I mean, they,
John had a surveyor send out to that property as well
right,
recently.
to make sure where the property lines were.
Well, no, to kind of figure out the watershed boundary of what's
Okay,
feeding into their river,
okay,
their rainstorms. So I know about John's end, he's moving on that.
good, good.
Yeah.
Good. And then, of course, you just mentioned Michael Oberman. He's the professional wildlife photographer. He talked he edified you best, very, very nicely. I mean, he spoke so highly of you and what you're doing. Yeah, and so it was
Sleeping when he was talking.
it was very, very nice to hear that, but he talked about the Wilde Lake signage.
Okay.
And I had spoke first among all of the Wilde Lake people, and so he did mention and back me up a couple of times. He said, yes, we need the restrooms open. He says, I'm over there all the time and I see people looking for restrooms. So that was one of the things.
One of the questions I've gotten about the signage, Kevin, asked Nancy about it. The signage at Lake Elkhorn is so abundant and it's so visual. And we've been asking for signage on so many levels for a long time. And the question I even got it today was, why is Wilde Lake, which is one of the three main lakes, in such dire straits of having decent signage to indicate exactly what the issues are and how things should be addressed, and while it's obvious in the other locations. So that's something that's so long overdue, it's,
Until I heard Michael, I mean, I have spoken to them about it because I ran into the lovely lady who fed the birds. And I was delighted because I saw the police writing out a ticket or a warning or something, and I have not seen her since. Knock on wood. And that was sometime early in the summer, I think. So I, at that point, raised the issue, and they have these little signs.
They're like literally that big.
They are little signs. So I brought it up, but I will push Michael's. They could do nice signs with CA's logo and the 9 yards. Yeah.
absolutely.
I don't know.
I was
It shouldn't
gonna
mention
take too
this.
long.
I was gonna mention this during my report, but the signage, so I did speak with Sean Harbaugh last week about something that I will mention during my report, but he brought up the signage and said that is kind of on towards the top of his list, they know about it, they know
Good.
it, so it's definitely on his radar, and something he apparently
Good.
is going to be working on.
Super.
Well, remember that all of our requests go to CA staff, and CA staff will respond to each and every one of our requests specifically. So they get farmed out, the open space things will go to Sean, different, so we will get those responses in an official capacity as well.
But that's further down the line when you get that.
October, we're supposed to have them the first week of October.
Okay,
Well, you need them fairly early on
right,
because
so that we
you
know
need
what
to
to
know
find.
if you're getting the support from the staff or not, and that will help you figure out your strategy.
Right,
Yeah, Michael Overman mentioned about the swan habitat signs need to come down also. So not
Yeah,
only going
because
up.
the swans have been removed by DNR, as FYI. DNR has removed the swans and they have no intention of returning them.
It wasn't DNR, was it?
Yes. No,
They have
DNR
swans?
supplied the swans and they have removed them.
They
And
were
So
from
the
the
signs are
Early
down.
Foundation.
so the signs need to come down.
There's no
They're not
swan
down.
refuge.
they are up
They're
still.
still up, yeah.
Still up. Neighborhood reps Susan Hillenbrand and Mitch Vitulo, they also came, they were in the audience, supporting the Reading Brook residents, and also Dr. Silver, one of the residents that's being majorly affected by that runoff off of Reading Brook. He was there also, so you had a very, very good contingency. And then it looked like such a big Wild Lake group because Rhoda came and spoke also. You spoke on the watershed, but everyone knows you're representative for Wild Lake. So thank you, Rhoda. You did an excellent job.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent job.
I appreciate it. I tried to keep it really short because sometimes if everybody gets up there, it takes the whole 5 or 10 minutes. By the third or fourth person, you're already, and so I purposely kept it, one page, but thank you, Ken. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Nancy. I'm sorry, I cut in on
I'm-
yours.
no,
but I wanted to
I'm-
make sure you knew who those folks were.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the folks that did come out, anybody who comes out and talks on me. I mean, it really furthers, it makes my job a little bit simpler because it's not just me hounding and asking. They see that there's a real need and that there's support for that need. It's important. People do listen on the board. It makes a difference. So I encourage people to show up when there's something they want.
When the people who come to speak and they, Harriet Lancaster called and she was told to bring 20 copies, which was a crazy amount, and she had 20 copies. And so my thought was, are the copies that are not,
She doesn't need to.
well, she did.
Well, because there's like usually 5 staff and then Milton and then the 10 board members and then there's one to the secretary to be included with the minutes.
So my question was, seeing that there were not 10 members sitting there, I couldn't ever remember a full board sitting there. But my question is, do the extra copies go to the members who were not present? Do they get to see the testimony of the people who showed up?
That's a very good question. I don't know, but I will ask. I think Susan Krabby collected them, right?
Yeah, I gave, the extras.
Any update on part-time security patrol and like CA?
Well, it's the county that's gonna be patrolling, or that is patrolling. But we are not allowed to know when, because that's, well, they're gonna be at Lake Elkhorn today, let's go to Kittamukundy. So obviously, we can't know when they're doing it, we just know that they are doing it.
Because things are getting really bad. Like yesterday, I was walking
Which
Freddie. Oh wow, like
Yeah.
I was walking Freddie yesterday, and on the dam, there were guys fishing there, and they literally caught a turtle. Yeah, I was like, you definitely want to catch a turtle there. It's not a running water; it's a still water still. And they were very excited and stuff. Like it was like a trophy, like something that they deserve.
Did
It's
they
that-
take it? 'Cause that's
I don't
something
know.
we're
Yeah,
not
it was. I was really upset.
I would have
stuff.
called the police.
Call 911,
Yeah,
when you
and
see
they
things,
They
call
were literally
911.
standing on the dam. I mean, that's how bad. And a couple of weeks ago, where you have the little, what's it, the gazebo right next to the cove. There were two guys literally standing in there, fishing right in there. So I literally had to scream and I said, you guys are not allowed to fish there. So, I mean, I'm not a big person, I'm small, tiny dude, so, and these were like two huge guys, so they literally, they were afraid, so.
There is this small little pathetic sign on the post as you
Right,
walk out to the
but you
gazebo.
see it,
It's like, you know,
you can't miss it, so literally, because I was on the other side of the cove where you see across the lake. So I saw them, they're literally standing there and throwing their lines in the water, fishing, and I was like, that's just ridiculous, you're not supposed to fish there.
Well, that's part of Michael's Oberman's big thing is about fishing.
well, I thought it was really interesting that Michael mentioned the thing about that somebody who had come to do bass fishing. The lake has not been stocked with bass in like 15 years. So that, look how long lived a memory of the way things used to be perpetuates itself. And so the signage is.
Well, somebody told me that they were catching bass. What are they
There's a
catching there?
YouTube video apparently of people catching bass in Wilde Lake.
Listen, I guess
I
so.
think, I don't know, well, this, anyway. this came
That's
up
what
in
I was
our
talking to a guy
parents'
yesterday
committee
who was fishing,
conversation,
and he just fishes and throws them back, and so we're catching them. I think it's bass.
Yeah.
Well, it's
What other, I mean, it wasn't trout. I don't know.
I've seen people doing that down by the boathouse,
Yeah,
but that's
well,
where they're supposed to.
yeah,
be.
well, he was halfway, between, like between the barn and the boathouse, which is fine, So there were a lot of people out yesterday, fishing this day, so we let them out. It was a nice day.
Let them out of the fish.
Well, and if you're down at the bridge at the bottom, at the end of the lake, and I was looking down here the other day, it was
They come down from the
a whole
Connecticut.
gazillion fish about, probably 6 inches long.
Well, the only thing I've ever known to be in any abundance were rockfish in there.
Rock?
Rockfish.
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 Well,
Year,
that's a bass. That's straight
I thought
bass.
they were saltwater fish.
I don't know, that was years, 30 years ago.
Nancy,
Okay,
did you have anything?
I don't, does anybody else have anything for me?
If not, we're going to allow Nancy to take off if she so
Thank you.
desires, and we're going to go ahead and go to Wilde Lake Care.
I did, and I responded to you right away, I thought it was good.
Okay. Seen the email since I sent it.
Mission statement. Okay, so I try to make the charter look like the neighborhood rep charter that we worked together, so the headings are the same. I got feedback from some of you, which I incorporated into this latest version. So any additional changes, let's decide now, and then we can hopefully approve it.
Can I just say? I
This is the
think
same one
it's
we
excellent.
looked at earlier, right?
She
This
changed
is
the
one
mission
you-
No,
statement.
this is, she's changed.
No, I
a
mean
few
that you
things.
sent through today.
Yeah, the mission statement is modified.
And so is the vision statement, by the way.
Well, yeah, the mission statement is really the, and then the membership, I put the steering committee paragraph first. That was Kristen's recommendation. That's pretty much the same.
Should the vision statement come first? Just as,
I think Lula had the mission statement.
Yeah, this is the same.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah,
template.
can we do it exactly?
That's your earliest convenience.
I make a motion that this be approved as submitted.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? No? All those in favor of accepting this mission statement and goals for the Wilde Lake Cares? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? been moved. Very nice, welcome.
We care.
So,
We
so
do.
feel free to well, actually, let me email everybody this revised version, and then you can send it out if people want to know about the committee.
Should send it to the newsletter.
I'll send it to,
Well, I mean, it's something to go specifically in the newsletter.
okay, yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is the revised whistleblower policy. Kristen, if you want to-
Sure. So after Jeff brought up some questions about the whistleblower policy, specifically our current whistleblower policy talks about a compliance officer, and it does define that compliance officer as the executive director of the association, but it's not very clear. So I looked at some of the other villages' whistleblower policies. I looked online. There's all sorts of samples and templates. Much of the language that's in our current policy is also in the other villages and in the templates. But some of the other villages are a little bit more clear about where people should go, to whom people should go if they have concerns. So I thought, rather than putting this sort of vague compliance officer, let's make it really clear so people know. So we've got it that people can come to either the village manager or the board chair. They're not comfortable speaking with the village manager, they can go to the board chair. So that really is the only change. We formatted a little bit to make it a little bit more readable, but the language is very, very similar among all of the whistleblower policies that I could find for nonprofits.
All right, thank you. I'd like a motion, please, to accept this
I
policy.
moved it be accepted as written. As,
Revised.
well, yeah.
Well, as
as-
submitted.
as submitted.
Big word. I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Yeah, the reason I sort it up was, well, first it showed up in that financial thing that they,
Right,
that
and
tax thing,
990.
that we had a whistleblower policy. I said, huh. Then I saw the thing and I said, who's the compliance officer? And she said, it's the village manager. And so it's supposed to, so everything went through the village manager. I said, there's something wrong here. What's going on? So,
Good.
and Kristen absolutely agreed.
Yes.
Thank you.
I like the way Kristen responds. Excellent question, Jeff. Nobody's asked that in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Next
Well,
on
the
agenda-
whistleblower policy, just as an aside real quick, is a relatively new policy in the past maybe 3 to 4 years, because the 990 that we used to use, the Form 990, we had like the easy version, didn't require that we had a whistleblower policy, but when our budget went to a certain level, we now have to file the big Form 990, which requires whistleblower, and I forget the other 2 policies.
That's interesting.
Next on the agenda is the Bryant Woods Neighborhood Sign Colors. And that is Rhoda.
Well, I did not want to present this until I had all of my little color charts. And as I'm making, first, the initial was to try to assess what else was out there, just kind of ride around and go through some of the neighborhoods and see what was so striking. And then I had some colors that I had been, some thematic things that I had actually been collecting on my desk for quite a while. And then to kind of see how that would relate to how others were done. And they're done from for the most part, everything from just this pale tan color with 2 colors on top, like we have like this reddish and this greenish, kind of hunter reddish and greenish thing. And where others are just painted a very dark color with white on top. So until I can make these little samples so that you can see, and we can pass them around and or put them out and have a look at them, it's going to be very hard to define, because it's got hues and all that kind of thing, which I don't really, which when you're standing there at the color window, you know, and I'm trying to decide on Laura Ashley blue or, you know, Lowe's green, it's fun. So that's it, but I'm gonna use this time, other than that, to talk about this character, pencil caricature artist who,
Did you do that during the board member?
well, he did this during, I was his guinea pig for the first one.
No, I mean, can you talk about this during the member time? So-
Oh, during the member time, oh, not now, okay. All right, so fine, sure, absolutely, I'm gonna just substitute that.
That's right. Let's go ahead and stay with the agenda here.
Okay,
Thank you so much for doing that. So my understanding is we're not voting on anything on this.
no, because I wanna have full
Tabling
samples
it
sitting
for a future.
yeah.
So you'll let us know when you're ready to come back on the.
Right, probably because we have an additional 2 weeks on the next time, so that would give me a little more time. Yeah.
All right, next, AC liaison.
Right, there was one AC meeting during the month of August, because there weren't any applications for the other meeting. Three fast track applications were approved. There were a total of 4 other applications. 3 of them were approved as submitted. The 4th one was also approved as submitted, but there was a recusal because it was Phil Schultz's house and he had to obviously recuse himself. But anyhow, I got approved. So all 4 were approved. So that's it. And the RAC is meeting today. And I assume.
I mean, they're meeting right
Oh,
now.
they're
on the
meeting
other
right now?
side of the
Yeah,
room.
so afterwards he'll sign off on all the ones, because he had a bunch of applications that I could see. 'Cause I
So
see-
then you can just wait and take care of it tonight.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, awesome.
What time
That's
is
it.
What time do they end?
I don't know,
They
whenever they
start
get
at
done.
7:30.
7:30? Okay, we'll get you out of here in time, so you don't have to stay too late. All right, Columbia Council Rep, Nancy, we moved her to the beginning. Committee reports, let's see, if we go through the agenda here, it's education up first.
Okay, let's see. I've met, since last time I think we talked, we've now met with all the principals or assistant principals, and they were all very interested. I've been in contact with Ann Santos, who's the PTA president of Running Brook. I'm gonna go to their meeting next week. Wall Lake Middle School's PTA meeting is tonight. I talked to the president of that PTA back in August maybe, and I sent her a note today saying, I'd like to, get somebody to be a champion for your school. And I just got the contact information for the person from Bryant Woods because I had met her when I talked to the assistant principal over there and never heard back, so I got her contact information to set up a meeting. And in running, let's see, in the high school, well, several of us were there, so Rhoda, Wula, myself, and Nancy. At Wilde Lake. Yolanda, right, Yolanda was showing up at these. And turns out the guy who was a small guy, gray hair, who I think might live in the Birches, who you were all excited to see, is the president of the PTA.
Oh,
I
really?
found that out afterwards, but I didn't know his name. I gave him my contact information. He hasn't contacted me. I was.
John Hene,
All right, well,
I'll send you his email.
Okay. I was been in contact, email contact. I met the president of the Booster Club and his buddy, who both used to work at NSA.
You never know.
So anyhow, talked about getting together with them. Haven't heard anything back yet. And so far I've heard from 3 people. Chaya Kaplan contacted me. I'm meeting with her tomorrow Friday. Now I'm meeting with her Friday to see what her input is. And otherwise, there's been very little response. There's been one response every time I put something in the newsletter. And I'm in the process today. Safety I was going to do it, but I didn't get around it because I'm doing other things. Write up something to go into the newsletters for the other villages who use our schools, because we have kids from Dorsey Search, all those kids go to Wilde Lake High School. A number of them go to Bryant Woods. We have a lot of kids from Hickory Ridge that go to Wilde Lake Middle School. Some of them go to high school. Some of them go
Town center?
to Bryant Woods, and all of Town Center goes to our schools.
Right.
So anyhow, that's it.
Jeff did a super job of putting together the Wild Lake Middle and the Wild Lake High School events.
Well, thank you.
Set the tables, we just had to show up, and I had to beat Jeff to handing out the pens. I mean, he never said he'd be so excited about handing out a notepad and pen to the people, and
You know, people would just walk by the table and they just pass by. So Rhoda and I stood out there and said, "Would you like a pen?"
please come to our picnic, you know? I would like a pen, you know?
We need a very attractive table next time with some pretty, the banner, right?
Yeah,
It's
think
a
about
whole
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, you got a lady that went to school with your daughter.
Oh, right, yeah, right. That's the second time, because at the middle school, I met somebody who went to school with my daughter.
Oh, my
And I met
Yeah.
somebody here,
Right.
so they now have kids in schools that they went to.
Well, thank all of you for supporting the schools and the education.
So,
Very nice of you guys to all go out.
And also silent auction.
You did.
Yes.
and watch.
Remember for the pictures?
Somebody bid more
Somebody thought
than,
they'd been like.
Oh, you bid, yeah,
Yeah.
right, you got outbid.
I tried to get them to sell it to Lula on the spot, and they said, no.
If you'd come up to $60, like you said, you could have had it, but I think that was.
Yeah.
Jeff and I agreed that it was, we decided that it was just too much.
When I went
We were
over,
looking after you.
she told him to just give me the painting because no one was gonna buy above $30.
I was like, really politicking for you. And she goes, no, at the end, we do have people that come down and we do have some high bidders usually. Yeah, please, nobody's going. I mean, I was really, and
That's
she
a
was.
pretty
And you bid $30,
Yes,
right?
right.
And somebody bid 45. No, they did.
No, they went up, whatever it was, $10, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 45.
45, you would have had to spend 50.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
Right.
It was the cause. That's what they would tell you, right?
And something I want to put in the newsletter this week, Running Brook had a thing that they have something called backpacks for the kids who are reduced and free lunches, where they give them food to carry them through the weekend. But people have to donate money. I think it's about $100 per kid per year. And so they load them up with food. And so I wanted to cut that out of their newsletter and send it to Carol. And I have this thing, actually probably it's almost any school might be able to, because you have to specify what school it is. But anyhow, I was Running Brook that I saw it, because I'm on the distribution of all the newsletters. Anyhow, because Bryant Woods has a very large number of kids on the farm and all of our schools.
Very nice.
Well, that's-
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Neighborhood Representatives Committee.
Yep, so we're working with Kevin and Christine to try to plan the next neighborhood rep gathering, and also maybe combine like a celebration of becoming official that committee, something like that. I'm looking at the week of October 12th or the week of October 19th. Like Christy said, we're pretty tight on schedule right now, bookings and stuff. So prefer on Saturday, but it's pretty tight.
Saturdays.
Yeah, so I'll be like the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th on those days.
Shake your head.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Not here. I mean, maybe at a neighborhood center, the neighborhood centers are tight now.
Last chance, the second chance.
Oh, Second Chance Saloon, another village.
We don't have our own pub anymore.
But definitely you're thinking weekends is probably the
Yeah, I
best
know
time for
the
those
12th
folks.
is Columbus Day, so
But not a weeknight.
it's not.
You have it on
it's
the
not Monday,
weekend.
it's
You're talking about during the day on the weekend?
I'm trying to avoid like weekdays because people are working
Right.
tired after work.
On the weekends, they have kids' sports. I would do it in the afternoon,
Yeah.
because mornings,
Yeah, in the afternoon, like we did the last time, 4:30,
What about a Sunday?
Sunday, yeah,
Evening.
yeah.
So we might have the 11th open,
11.
but I know the 18th and the 25th.
Last time was a Saturday or something.
that's Friday.
No, the 11th, October 11th.
Oh, I'm in the wrong month.
11 is,
Is
yes, Sunday.
Sunday.
So,
Yeah,
And of course, all of you would be invited.
yeah. I can't make it.
So do you want me to pencil that in? The
Yes.
11th, what time? It would have to be after, the event couldn't start before 3, because church is here 1:15, 1:30.
not before 3.
Yeah.
The last time Kevin was scheduled for like 4:30, right? The last time we looked at him.
Did we go into the evening?
I mean, you could
Yeah.
start at 3, that would give you enough.
3?
Yeah.
All right.
That'll still be a couple.
Three.
hours.
Yeah.
So what would this is just for the, like a thank you? one of
Yeah,
those-
presenting the chat and stuff, mission, statement, and official documents, and celebration, appreciation to everything, bonding together.
Well, you didn't have very many people show up last time.
I think we did.
Oh, yeah. we had-
Well, I mean, but you didn't have that many representatives. You had some people here.
We had a handful of representatives.
I know, a handful.
Yeah.
That's, well, I'm wondering what we might be able to do.
To get more people.
Announce it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I was trying to give like a month.
A month away.
And Kevin knows that we reach out, right, through telephone, call people, cell phones and stuff.
Try to door prize.
Door
Like,
prize.
if you get there on time, you put your name in a hat.
Yes.
We
fix and
tried
change.
having some sort of a
No.
ticket drawing and that didn't work
Yeah.
last time.
We didn't try that. We gotta make a-
We had some kind of drawing.
No, that's not gonna get people here. I was thinking you have.
Might get people here on time.
Well,
Unless we're gonna come.
The
Yeah,
door prize
well,
is
maybe
the door.
everyone.
Remember we're gonna do the flower, gifting?
I have a couple of items that were left over from the garden prizes. And so they're sponsored by local companies.
I was thinking it's something in the form of entertainment.
How many?
to be Unique.
Mary Lou.
It's probably,
It wasn't next
probably
to Mary
like
Lou.
15.
How many?
I think it's over 15, right?
It's over 15.
Yeah, so we have,
50,
Point-
like 5.
no, not 50, like
Oh.
15.
15.
15 plus, right?
Um,
Yeah, according to the spreadsheet, the last spreadsheet we did.
So-
We had 30.
30?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so,
Have you been sending emails to the reps? Because I haven't gotten any.
so I've ever been using but I added you now to my list. I use the best Wilde, like WWV.
Okay.
You're not receiving my emails?
I haven't received a single.
The last one I sent with the Columbia Fund in Nature. Did
I
that?
definitely didn't get
Did
that
I
one.
receive it? Because Kelly, you got it right.
Right.
Jeff, did you receive
Yeah.
it?
Check my email address, make sure it's, because it shouldn't be going to spam or, I mean, I check my spam occasionally and I don't.
I'll check my email distribution list.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not-
Hope I'm not. I'm sure. So that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I'll check the date tomorrow
Okay.
and let you know for sure.
Child plans and stuff. And also, we probably need some supplies for the old fashioned picnic to try to reach out to people that'll be attending, try to, something to give out to them, same as the neighborhood rec program, maybe like t-shirts and stuff.
Well, we have the
We have
neighborhood
t-shirts.
rep t-shirts.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna print out flyers, and then say we're gonna bring them to every house in the Birches to advertise the the Birches block party / Wild Lake picnic. So, how many more people have to get out?
Are you guys sharing a table or?
Well, we talked about having a table, tables, just.
Well, we'll have a table, and I can talk about that more when we get to my report.
Okay.
Alright.
Good, good. All right, so something for neighborhood reps at picnic. Anything else we'll come up?
Nothing for now. That's it.
Next on the agenda, Wild Lake Cares.
Okay. So the Columbia Family Nature event is Sunday. Are any of you coming?
I'm gonna try to
Swing
come.
by. Do we want to take pictures? Do we want to document
always
what's
do.
happening?
Oh, absolutely.
Where is it?
It's gonna be down at the, like kind of the, where the rock is, near the
Which rock?
dam, the big,
Okay, right
big
Oh,
rock with
that-
a
that-
flap on
With
it.
the
and-
plaque.
Oh, you mean that's the rock,
Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, there's a lot
So
of
there's
rocks
gonna be a
down there.
planting there, and then down where the planting took place a couple years
Oh,
ago.
yeah, I've got that,
they're
2
gonna have
o'clock.
that, 2 o'clock.
So you want me to bring my calendar?
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's 22 families have signed up.
Yeah.
I don't know how many are Wild Lake.
Oh, I know one of my neighbors said she was gonna bring her kids.
Great, yeah, and so, I mean, we'll try to
That's good.
find out.
Neighbor as well. That's good. Good.
So that's happening on Sunday. Actually, so a question I had, Christine, the dead trees that I emailed you about, how long, there was the dead tree in Wild Lake Park along the street. And you had, I
I know what
emailed you
you're
about
talking
these
about. I know
dead
what you're
trees,
talking
and
about.
then you said you submit a ticket for the, and then the dead trees behind the Bryant Woods sign.
It's a site.
I don't
know.
have any recollection.
Are you, I'll double check my email,
You're
but I
talking
think we
about,
have a
you're
whole
talking about the site, you're
conversation.
talking about the sidewalk trip.
It's not on the sidewalk side, it's on the side.
Well, but I mean, it's on the Wild Lake Park side, but it's right by the sidewalk.
There's no
Where's
sidewalk,
the
it's near the
sidewalk?
mailbox.
Hmm?
You know the mailbox?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay,
Is broken Wild
by the street,
okay.
sorry.
Yes.
So I will
Yeah.
resend
Yes.
you.
Someone submitted a ticket today. There was a dead tree on.
Hyla Brook,
Yeah.
but I don't know where that.
There's also dead trees behind the Bryant Woods sign across from the mall, the entrance.
Right, I know there are, because I see.
Right up the
So,
hill.
But I
I
don't
emailed
remember
you
some-
about both of those, and you said you would submit a ticket.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, didn't we?
I'll go back.
Well,
You
what
brought
could
that up
have
last time.
happened was, I may have just done it because, I have, the checklist, and when I do it, I check it off and it's gone.
Yeah, that's,
So I'm hoping that that's what happened.
because they're still
But I
there
don't
as of
remember
last time.
getting, see, what happens is when we submit to open space, and you guys can too, open.space@columbiaassociation.org, there's no reason why it has to come from us.
Do you use
Um,
a telco up to?
Well, not
No,
for
you-
CA properties.
Oh, not for CA property.
Right,
I've tried that before.
right. But they send something back that says, we got it, we're working on it. And I don't remember getting anything back from them.
Okay, well, let me
Yeah.
dig up the original email.
Okay.
Okay. So, Wild Lake Cares, the steering committee met a couple weeks ago. We're putting together a pamphlet about the committee and creating a new logo. That'll be a play off of the Wild Lake logo, with cattails and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll have this together and printed by the 19th. Or is that the date? Whatever. The issue is, we want to put the information about the fishing rules and a copy of the Wild Lake map with no fishing zones, and it conflicts. The text conflicts with the map. So contacted Sean Hall, and he's supposed to be working on it like today to come up with revised text and a revised map. Because if we're gonna start yelling at fishermen, we need to have something that says, this is where you can fish and this is where you
I have
can't.
a question, why do we have no fishing zones? Before we had them because of the swans.
So I think there's a concern, first of all, with people standing in front of people's homes, fishing and looking into their windows. I think there's a privacy
Yeah, well,
issue there.
yeah,
Along the whole south
along Wild Lake
side.
Terrace, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that whole side, there's homes that abut the lake. There is major concern about wildlife, and one of Michael Overman's biggest issues with fishing in Wild Lake is people leave their lines in the trees.
And also
So you're not supposed to cast your line next to a tree because your line gets caught in a tree. You cut your line off, and you have a line and hook dangling in the tree, and inevitably you get a dead bird or a dead fish.
Yep, it was Baltimore around a number of years ago.
I mean, it happens
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, sure.
So, I mean, Michael, I think, is gonna push to make Wilde Lake a no fishing lake. I wouldn't be surprised. That will not be the position of the CARES committee, but he may go rogue and push for that, and with very good reason. Personally, I wouldn't be against that. So anyway, I'm hoping Sean gets me the revised text. I'll probably call him back tomorrow if I don't hear from him, so we can get the pamphlet. I want it out to you all to see the pamphlet for comments before we go and print, a bunch of copies. But so this will be something we can pass out at events and try to get people to sign up to be part of the virtual community for Wilde Lake Cares. So the bamboo, I haven't been down there, but I was told the bamboo was cut
It's
down.
gone, it looks great.
The bamboo's cut down.
Yeah, everything's gone.
So I wanted to make sure you all knew that.
But they haven't dug it up yet.
No,
I don't think so.
just chop it down.
The sign, I mentioned the sign improvements. The only other thing Wilde Lake, or the CA is now, they call it sweeping the lake, but basically they're sending a boat around once a week to pick up any fishing line that's been left by fishermen. And just so you know how big of an issue it is, they have to do it once a week because so many fisherwomen.
That is a
Cut their
big
lines
jump
and
in the
leave
number
it.
of times they used to do it.
Yes.
Huge.
And this is from Michael's constant
Banging on it.
complaining,
Yeah.
like, you guys gotta come out and do this. You created this habitat and you're not taking care of it. And so they're coming out now about once a week to try to pick up the line. And if you guys see fish and line stuck in the trees, it'd be great if you could call Sean
Do they
Harbaugh.
actually go up in trees and pick that?
I'm not sure. I don't know the extent, but, so,
Oh, because they have those polyurethane or polyvinyl tubes for people to
yeah,
throw
but
their
you,
fish
you
away.
have to get your line free from the
Right.
tree. You don't have to throw it away. And it's a big issue at the lake. So, and with the fishing, the no fishing zones, one of the biggest issues with the map was the map showed, I guess it's the south side of the lake, as a no fishing zone from the pathway. But the text says it's a no fishing zone, period, not indicating pathway versus boat. So that was one of the big issues.
Which pathway? I mean, the pathway
The
goes along the
south.
whole lake, that whole side of the
The
lake.
the whole south side. You can
Yeah,
pull it up online if you
But the
look at
pathway goes around the, okay, well,
from on the south side only.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole length, there's no fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that,
but the map says no fishing from the shore,
oh,
but
okay.
then the text says
Gotcha.
no
Okay.
fishing, like, period. So anyway,
Right, understand.
we're trying, that's kind of one of the first campaigns we're trying to deal with is clarifying fishing.
Well, I do know that the people who live in the cove, a good 15, 18 years ago, had a petition that they sent to CA about trying to prohibit people from fishing in their boats, because they said
Yes.
that people were sitting in the boats down at the Turtle Cove Inn, and they were fishing and looking into their homes
Yeah.
as the guys to try to, something else.
So there is no fishing from boats in the cove. And that is clearly marked on the map, but the rest of it just says from the shore, but then the text doesn't agree with that.
It's
So,
so
yeah,
infrequent, there's ever boats in there.
I see every time I'm down there, I see somebody in
Oh,
a
is it?
kayak fishing.
Oh,
Lots of
Fishing.
kayaks, kayak fishing, yeah, sure.
I see those sequels sometimes.
And they're casting underneath the trees. I mean, it's ridiculous. They want to fish, go to some getting work. As far as I'm concerned. I'm serious.
So there's honeybee nest on the cove,
Oh, really?
So when you
What
count
kind of nest?
honeybee
Oh.
nest, it is huge. I'm not talking about small honeybee nest like
I
this.
don't know.
Yeah.
What's that?
Honeybee,
Honeybee.
yeah, nest.
Hornet's nest.
Are you
No,
sure
honeybee.
you're sure they're honeybees?
It's because one of my neighbors yesterday was what? Labor Day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a-
Yeah. So I was walking Friday, same day the guys caught the turtle down. So she was there taking pictures because she said one of the bees stung her little one.
Oh.
Yeah, so,
Was it in a tree?
yeah, in the tree. It's
That has
literally
been
hanging
reported.
right over the path.
That has been photographed and reported to Sean, and, Sean didn't respond, so I suggested reporting it to open space, to put a call in, to send,
Well,
to get the address.
if it's a honeybee nest, it should be exterminated.
And finally, somebody responded to the resident who looks directly at it, who had seen it and reported it like a couple weeks ago, said that somebody did respond to her and said it would be taken care of.
Me, it looks like a big football.
Yeah, it does.
That's paper wasps. I doubt it's honeybees.
Yeah. Yeah, you can right.
She said it was a wasp
Play
nest.
like-
That's
So
what
is
she
it a
reported.
danger to people? Is
Well,
it-
Yeah,
hanging.
it's hanging over the.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do.
seat
They build them
Right.
in trees.
And
So
then
you
you
know,
look
like
at
when the zoo, you come coming towards the dam, the first bench right
it.
there
Right there.
is literally right behind the bench.
So the fact that you're telling me that it's still there is kind of a little unnerving, that the fact that they finally responded. Her and said it would be taken care of.
Nobody has volunteered. to do it.
Yeah. They didn't get
I'm waiting for it to
taken
get
care of.
cold.
Right. Maybe.
That's a hot spot, because I remember a couple of months ago, there was a bird that was nesting over there, and they will not allow anyone to pass there. It's so hilarious. Like, people will pass there and the bird will literally chase them
What
down.
kind of bird do
It
you-
was so funny.
It's
It's,
probably blue jay.
yeah, something like, it looks like
The trees
blue
are
instead.
kind of mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had them on my balcony and they decided not to let me out there. They finally left 2 days ago. I imagined had my balcony back.
Try.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
No, I think that was my update.
Very
That
nice.
was, you know.
You had an excellent turnout at your meetings. Very nice. And thank you, Will, for sitting at the table. Will, for coming. Will and I sat in the audience and participated from afar. It was nice.
Come again.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
It was a very good learning experience.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I learned a lot. But especially the lady from, what's that, like Alcon?
Yeah,
They did the
yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
It's very informative.
So manager report, Kristen.
Okay, I'll just jump right in because I know Bess, you have to go. So I wanted to sort of see, I have sort of a little schedule for people during the picnic. Rhoda has already agreed to help with the watermelon contest. She's going to help recruit contestants.
I just love that.
And also help
My
them
husband
with
won
the-
last year after that.
And we do, and as a result of that great turnout that we had with the adults last year, we're having a special category just for adults. We're not just gonna do the leftovers and say, hey. So it's gonna be really.
So I only recruit adults?
No, from preschool on up.
Oh, where's my
And
Tootsie Rolls?
You did it by inches.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
started at like 6. You should do
Yeah,
it.
Between
it was a little-
preschool K, elementary, middle, high, and adults, 5 categories. So Rhoda's gonna help with that. But then I know that Jeff, Betsy, and more, I figured you guys probably want to see at the information table at various times. So I just wrote this out, but if the times aren't good, Jeff, I had you at the table from 11 till 12:30. Bess, I had you from 12:15 to 1:45, and Lola, 1:30 to 3.
You can put this
Am
in.
I allowed
Yeah.
to leave the picnic at 2?
Are you allowed to leave? No,
it's just-
yeah, I just have your assigned
I just-
from
there's
12:15 to
There's something else in
1:45.
Columbia that afternoon.
Oh my God, there's everything.
I know.
Everything
So-
is happening in Ellicott City, in Howard County, in Columbia.
In a 2-week time
Silver
frame, it's just,
Spring, everything's happening.
So tell me, so you said 12:45?
I'll email this
Okay.
to you, but that generally sound okay?
Yes, and I was gonna try to have a representative from the
Yeah, that'd be
host
great.
committee for like a half-hour
Okay,
shift.
terrific. Yeah, so we can see. Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
take I'll take
And
pictures.
yeah, I was hoping you would take pictures. Okay, great.
It's pretty good way.
And I'll keep away the rain.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
You might be able to get somebody to come.
Yeah, if you wanna recruit some.
Last year, I had David and his friend go around the list, get their names and email address.
Oh, great,
Not
okay.
interested, so we hired them again. Some of my naval reps.
Well, we're in good shape with the picnic. We broke out the cornhole set the other day.
Oh, you
Got
have
that
one?
going
Okay,
on.
you don't need my son's then.
I don't think so. We
Good,
have one.
okay.
I think one should be good if there's a real
No, that's good.
outpouring of people wanting to play next
I don't
year.
have
We'll
to
know we'll
carry
need
it
some
then.
parks and what. No, we're in good shape with the picnic. I think all our food vendors are in order, our inflatables, the face painters, everybody's good. We met with Open Space on site the other day. They're terrific. I mean, they just are amazing. They get things together and they know what they're doing and we don't have to worry about that at all. So we'll see you all on
We have a shredding event this
the
weekend.
shredding event this weekend,
It's
yes.
Saturday from 9.
Saturday from 9 until 1. Shredding and e-cycling. So e-cycling is anything with a plug. So old vacuum cleaners, old toasters, computers, TVs.
But I can get that information to email out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I sent that to you.
Yeah, the Sal's event is in the morning too, so you've got to kind of play them both. You know,
I'm trying to get out.
And come by after the Sal's event.
They also collect batteries.
I don't think they do
I think I
batteries.
still have to take that home and dump.
That's it. We're starting to really get into a busy season. The end of September and all the way right through December. We've got all sorts of things going on, including some things that I put at everybody's seat about the Columbia Festival of the Arts will be here. The Road to the Arts, that's an art show that the Howard County Arts Council does. We're on that map. So what Stages has their things coming up. We have all sorts of, we have a new opera company coming this year. Just all of our
Is that part of the
regulars.
Festival of the Arts or something else?
No, just an opera company.
They're
An
gonna
independent
perform?
opera.
They're gonna perform?
Yes.
Oh.
So that's all I have, unless anybody has questions for me.
How do you get the tables down to the book dock? And all your supplies? How's that all get down?
Well, Floyd brings the tables and chairs,
Oh, okay.
and Carol and I load up our cars with all sorts of this stuff.
Oh, my gosh. And then at the end of the long day,
We load it back in.
Wow.
If you need help, let me know. Some will start.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone for getting involved with the picnic. It's such a great affair, and for us to be able to pull it off year after year, it truly helps that the entire board's behind it. So thank you guys for jumping in and helping out. I noticed something at the very bottom of your report, Kristen, and Wilde, you'll probably want to talk about this later, but will you talk about your story and how that's going to happen in October? It'll be before our next meeting, so I wanted to make sure we can
Okay.
talk about that during the member section. When I come back to you.
Okay, all right.
Good. All right, let's see. Kristen, anything else?
No.
Anything for Kristen? A question about her report? No? All right. Board chair report. As last time I mentioned, I was going to communicate with the Wilde Lake condo and townhome presidents. I did get good reception to my invitation for everyone to come out for coffee. Had, let's see, 9 of the 14 presidents come out, and it was a very nice time. We met over at Bagel Bin, discussed everything under the sun, and just had a nice time communicating. They were absolutely amazed that one another existed, and they have continued a email thread since then. So they are sharing all types of information with one another now, and they're looking to gather in the near future once again. So I wanted to make sure with the board before we go further with this, are you still okay with the board supporting the presidents of homeowners associations
Sure, why not?
communicating? Okay. Very good. Okay, we'll look.
Well, wait, you
Yes,
were,
sir.
are you done or are you still have more?
I have more.
Okay.
Let's see, what's the next thing? The next thing is the pathway receptivity. You have probably been seeing information in the paper and the flyer regarding the Columbia Flyer Building. And now it's being mentioned as a possibility that if the council agrees, they may try to get this building torn down and turned into some type of home, or
Subsidized housing.
affordable
housing.
housing is what they try to do. Anyway, some of the businesses along 175 are a little concerned about that, and that area is considered Wilde, that side of the north side of
Yeah.
175. So I just wanted to bring it up again, that one of the things that we are trying to do is get the businesses still to want to bring their people to Wilde Lake for lunch and so on through the pathways that they're going to build on either side of the middle school. But the one thing we have to try to continue to do, at least what I'm seeing, is that we have to continue to push for pathways to go all the way through and not to just stop and behind the building and there not be any additional plans there. So I'll be pushing at different meetings in the near future, and I just wanted to make sure the board was okay with me continuing to push for that. Okay. Let's see. I had someone contact me directly via email, and they said, "Yeah, Kevin, I'm not getting in contact with Kimco. I'm interested in moving into the village center." Just sent out a real quick email to Greg Reed, and he says, "Kevin, thank you for contacting me." He says, "We need all those questions to come directly to me." And I said, "Well, what about Kevin Allen on the signs?" He says, "If it's somebody that's coming to you directly, refer them to me." He says, "All the people that are going by the sign, that's fine," but he says, "Come to you directly with it." refer
Well,
to."
Kevin
Kevin
is
is good.
commercial, I mean, he does the commercial rent,
Right.
he doesn't have anything to do with the apartments.
No, I didn't say apartments.
Oh, I thought
Village.
he did.
Tenants.
Oh, tenants.
Tenants.
I thought Kevin Allen was replaced by somebody else. Didn't Greg bring him in here?
Obviously, there's more to the story than you are being told.
Yeah, but anyway, to make a long story short, just wanted to let everyone know that should you hear of somebody that might be interested, please get them in touch with Kimco as soon as possible. We need to get some of these places filled. Let's see, I think that was the end.
Kevin,
Go ahead.
you were talking, when you were talking about the HOAs, you also talked about the village merchants approach to, about the, trying to get them together, because there is a village merchants association. And I talked to Paul over at the Maitland, and I asked him about the merchant association. He said, "I don't know," but he said they pay something like $600 a month to Kimco for something, and they don't know.
For advertising and promotion.
Probably, I guess.
Yes, marketing.
He didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
But anyway, I don't know if we want to push something to get the merchants
The
together.
Merchants Association disbanded when the Giant left.
Yeah, but they might be interested in forming.
Well, that has to come from them. I mean, they need somebody to stand up and,
Well, calling them together and saying, "Hey, would you guys like to meet here and discuss this?"
in the past when they met, that we had somebody from the police department, somebody from Star Security Services, and a representative from the board, because there was a period of time when the board members felt they should all be there and they should be sitting at the table, and there was a lot of controversy about the fact that this was a merchants association meeting, and that if the board members wanted to come and hear what the merchants were discussing, then we could sit in the audience, because this is not our meeting, it's their meeting. But we could supply any answers to questions that may arise or issues that they may have. and take it back directly.
I'm just talking about lighting a fire,
Yeah,
you know, as a,
yeah, if
facilitating.
this guy, you know, if he's interested, that would be cool. It disbanded because there were so many stores that were gone. And a lot of the interest, Tony's the person, he's the nightingale
Yes.
in the village, yeah. Tony's the guy. He'd let you know how that, whether it would, there's enough interest or not. And he'd be somebody that would have a good pulse on the fact that there may or may not be enough people here yet. Because it all came about because of issues, security issues mainly. 90% of it was, 95% of it was the skateboarding and security issues.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure how we'll proceed, but we can include it as part of our outreach. Keep you posted. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
All right, trying to get out of here. Member comments, Rhoda?
Well, my thought was when the Watershed Stewards Academy is now holding events at HOAs, and the whole idea is to educate community associations about the Ready Crew, the Ready Rain Gardens, the county gardens, the cost share program and all, to understand what a rain garden is and the necessity to take care of it. So that once it's installed, you just can't all go back into your houses and, and not participate because it needs to be cared for, intended, and how it works and all of that. So this is a program that the Watershed Stewards Academy has initiated, and the first place was because of an investment that had been, a big investment that had been made in Deering Woods with this really large rain garden that went through one of their backyard open spaces. So there was a huge event, and the community association had this big picnic with food, and people came out, and we had chairs, and they sat around, and there was a tent, and it was really a wonderful, wonderful full afternoon. And they hired, the community association president hired this sketch artist that she had seen somewhere else from Baltimore, and he was there for 2 hours, and I was sitting close to him listening. And so then I became his warm-up. And then Terry, whose picture I sent you, who is, sort of does administrative work for the Watershed Academy. And so this is my picture. He said, you have to, I said, I love it because I look 30 years younger than you before, And so Terry's was very true to form, and I loved it when Kristen said it reminded her of the police sketch artist.
No, just when you said sketch artist,
yeah.
what did she
So
say?
I asked him if he'd be interested. He didn't have anything on his calendar for our picnic date, but maybe it's a little late. But my thought was that he said, how many he could do, and he had a like a stall in the Harbor Place for 6 years, and then he went into.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought he charged you for you to sit $125 an hour, and it was $250 to get that picture.
Yeah, I am just rolling in it, but I haven't really let that out.
Well, I know you're owing it.
I pay for everybody to be done. Yeah, so it's 120, he said the HOA, Deering Woods HOA, paid him $125 an hour, but he has a 2-hour minimum. And then that was as far as that part went, and I gave him my card and asked him to give me a call. I said that I would get back in touch with him if the board was interested. My thought was, going back to the issue, sort of like the autopsy on the picnic last year, was the fact that there were not as many Wilde Lake residents as we had hoped. So I was thinking this would be a good thing maybe for the coming year, it's probably a little late now, to say that Wilde Lake residents who sign up would have a caricature made of them if they attended the picnic, and they could, receive an Evite pass or some way to do that, so that we would get more Wilde Lake residents out to the picnic. So that was my thought on this. And, maybe a little late for this year because it's just an additional expense. It hasn't been advertised, so people don't know that it could happen. But I think it's just a really great bonus that we can have.
Yeah, I printed your email and it's in the picnic file. I agree that it's way too late for this year. How many can he do in?
It takes him, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, depending on whether it's one person or 2 people. And
You
it's
did
all
that
back.
10 to 15 minutes?
It was probably about
Wow.
way less than 15 minutes. It felt like I sat down and he was done. And he says the first one or two are always much slower because it takes him a while to get himself into it. And then it just speeds up. The group ones take a little bit longer. So
Oh, he did groups.
he does groups, yeah.
That's
Fun, mother, father, kid,
Sounds sketchy.
Yeah. So I thought, let's just a little something to stick with it. And then also something else that I wanted to share, and I took a picture of it and I forgot to forward it. It was the Watershed Stewards Academy doesn't have its own banner, but because we're part of the University of Maryland Extension, we use their table cover. And what they have is a table cover that throws over the table. It's like a
It's like a table.
It's like a tablecloth, but it goes all the way down to the floor, and it fits either a 6-foot or an 8-foot table, and has across the front exactly what it is, just two lines with the logo, and it looks great. And I will send that around.
That's what
Yeah, I've seen
CA had.
Yeah,
at
see,
Wilde Middle School.
yeah, it looked really nice, because it also is a cover then for the top of the table. If the table's kind of icky and you can put your stuff there and it doesn't slide around as much because it's not a smooth surface, so you have fabric there to catch it. And then I just would like to say that I have now handed out all of my Wild Lake fingers, my pluses, my things. We had an event, a Labor Day thing, and I walked around with what was left, and I had somebody come up to me at the end of the, you missed me. You didn't give me my notepad. And I thought that was really wonderful. I think I have 2 magnets left, but I do want to share with you that I went to a Democratic Club County picnic yesterday, and I brought them with me to give to Mary Kay and other Wild Lake associated representatives and handed them out. And Mary Kay looked at me and she said, Rhoda, like this, you can tell your village board that I have had one on my car for 1 year because I came into the building and they were being given out that day. And so it's been on the back of my car for a year, but I commend you for doing your job. It was cute, but I did get them out, Marilyn Beal, a couple other people that were there. I just think it was just fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there you go.
They're everywhere.
Are we all out of everything now?
Pens, we've got pens, but Post-its are gone. Magnets, we just haven't seen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I do have some for the pigment.
You gotta give them away,
They're advertisements for the picnic. So we gotta get them
But
The magic?
the sticky notes?
The sticky notes is an advertisement at the bottom. It
That's
says
for the
Wild Lake Picnic, September 19th.
Did we get rid of all of them?
Really?
Yeah,
The only thing you had left
was pens.
were pens.
Yeah.
I gave some yesterday, because we have a task for picnic yesterday.
If anybody goes to the children, the
The firm.
family,
Yeah, I'll go to that, yeah.
All right, I'll give that
Yeah.
for,
pass them out there. Perfect
Perfect
place
place.
to take.
Perfect place.
Yeah.
All right.
Take some flyers.
Any other member comments?
Anyone want to know what I heard about Meriwether?
Oh, yeah. Do we have one? Everybody will?
Yeah, it's only, it was actually very fast, that's why I showed up. You know. They did, this is a pre-submission
Right.
meeting. They're in stage 2, they've got a whole bunch of stages to go through. What they're going to do is they're gonna take the roof and raise the roof 20 feet. And they're gonna take the existing roof and actually jack it up. That'll be interesting to see, as long as you're not under it. Under the wings where you have those tent kind of things,
Right.
they're going to replace those with a solid roof. Kind of strange looking because it looked like rain, there was different levels between the existing roof and what these things are gonna be. So it looked like rain would come through. I asked about it and the guy said, don't worry about it, so I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
They're going to move, they need more height because of the way things are being done today. There's, you have people flying in, doing all kinds of crazy things. They've got to put speakers up, and they need more height in the back of the stage to get things up. And also, he was saying the height of the roof right now is such that if you're sitting on the lawn, you have problems seeing the stage. Problem seeing the stage is, I've sat out there, it's not the roof, it's you're far away from the stage, and the people are this big. But anyway, he was saying they wanted to raise it. And they're going to build a building behind the stage that will be even bigger, tall, it'll probably be 100 feet tall. But it'll be, well, look like a nice building. That's what they call the backstage. I think they call the stage house, because they need this altitude. Then behind that, they're building some facilities with dressing rooms and stuff. It'll be a 2-story building. And
Do they all transit to one another, to the stage?
oh yeah, well, they're together. I mean,
Okay.
it's one build, it's connected buildings. The first year, they're gonna do the stage house, then the second year, they're gonna elevate the roof and put in the fixed roofs on the lodging. I asked about, well, it was, before I got up, the first question was asked by somebody on Heilbrook whose name is Carol Goldbraith. I don't know her. And she asked about, said, well, how about your noise? And what are you doing about the animals? And, there were a couple of questions, but I then asked, I said, are you doing any modeling on the guy told us they had an acoustic, company studying it. I said, are they doing modeling on it? And will these after they're done with their modeling and they do their report, will that be available? And he said, I don't know if it will be available to the public. So we have to make sure we see that report. That's about it.
Did they have a good turnout?
We were probably 30, 40 people, and there were only, let's see, because I asked my question, I was the second one, then another guy asked a question also about the loads, and that was it. It was
I
over.
was
It
excited.
was over very quickly. I mean, the guy was really excited, Brad Canfield, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the manager for, I think he's probably the manager for Merriweather.
Mhm.
He said, this is the shortest community meeting we've had ever.
Ever, he's been around here a long, long time.
Well, thanks for going and representing.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm looking forward to the report. I saw Eric Eversole showed up there. He was there. I talked to him and said, we need to see that modeling report. And Eric is retired from the school system. He's not
He
teaching.
left.
Yeah, I asked him, I said, how's school? Through
He's
the
no
week.
longer doing the part
He
time.
said, no, he said, he's been there 35 years and it was
Very
his
interesting.
obligations, he was trying to turn it in.
Mm.
So, much to his chagrin.
So, on October 5th, 7 p.m., I'll be giving a short story about my life.
You sound so.
I have about 30 to 45 minutes to tell my story, how being from a refugee from Liberia, going to the Ivory Coast, staying in a refugee camp, and coming to the U.S. as a foreign student, going to the University of Maryland, in Columbia. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the first time I actually tell my story to a larger audience, a group of people. I usually just tell my friends at work if they ask me, hey, where are you from? They hear, hey.
You want the short story?
Yeah, were you? So yeah, that was one I grew up. We did, and I go into that and stuff. But I still have like vivid memory of things I went through and stuff. So after I tell my story, it's gonna be a question and answer section because people want to know how did you survive the refugee camp, or how did you survive speaking French in a foreign country where they don't speak English, the English will frown upon. So how did you end up in the U.S.? Why did you pick UNBC as a college to go to?
How'd you find your gorgeous wife?
Yes, how did I find
No.
my wife and stuff? So yeah, so
There's something
and it's gonna be
Go ahead.
It's gonna be PowerPoint. Try to give the audience like a visual and stuff. It's just like something to go along with the story.
something you might be prepared for because of something I was just thinking of. with the current refugee crisis that's going on in Europe, there might be some things, because obviously you must have a lot of empathy.
So yeah, it's
Understanding
You're
what's going
welcome, you all are welcome to attend. I hope it's a story that will interest you and
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And when you get to my age, you'll have twice as much stories to tell. How I survived Columbia.
It's,
Anything else?
Are there other speakers besides yourself?
I think it's just gonna be me that night. Yeah. I checked the calendar. I didn't see anything else.
I'd like a motion to adjourn,
Can I
please.
make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. It's adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Time.
Everybody
Questions?
want to see the bank statements
Yes.
and those